Welcome back to the Green Beauty Community Podcast. I'm your hostess, Jacquelyn Rodriguez, and I have a very special guest like every week, right? Every week we have such amazing talent in the beauty industry, and this is actually our first nail tech and educator. So I'm really excited to dive in deep to this conversation with Melissa Stone, the owner of Ethne and Me. Welcome to the Green Beauty Community Podcast, where we're making sustainable beauty the new standard. I'm your hostess, Jacquelyn Rodriguez, and in each episode, we dive deep into the world of eco-friendly beauty, sharing insights and tips and inspiring stories from industry leaders and innovators. Whether you're a beauty professional or enthusiast, join us as we explore how to make the beauty industry kinder to our planet without compromising on quality or style. Let's create a more beautiful world inside and out. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yes. So I was really excited to have a nail tech in here, and nails are really important in the beauty industry, and it's also one that I have seen it's a little harder to be sustainable and have clean ingredients. So I'm really interested in your journey. How did you get started? First, just wanting to be a nail tech.
So when I was a kid, someone handed me for Christmas, someone gave me a Kiss nail art book that had these cheap polishes in it with instructions on how to do some simple nail art. And ever since then, I've just loved doing nails. I come from a big family and my cousins would line up for me to do their nails. Even some of the boys would get involved and they'd line up and wait for hours for me to paint their nails. And then, life came and went. In a former life, I was actually a middle school band director, and I taught middle school band. Then I left that to be a stay-at-home mom. And a few years ago, my husband came to me and said, I think it's time for you to go and get your nail tech license, because it was something we had talked about me doing when the kids were a little bit older. And so I jumped in, and now here I am.
That is so cool. I love that you were doing it when you were younger because it's deep within you of loving your passion. And I feel like not everybody, right, in the beauty industry, but a lot of us do have some sort of background like that, that we loved doing it when we were younger and we bring that forward. And it's so cool to be able to um, bring it full circle, but also really love what you do. And tell me a little bit more about the sustainability aspect of it. For you, how did you or why did you want to bring that into your business?
So I got started kind of down my what I call my crunchy journey about 7 years ago. I had experienced loss of two children. I have six total, and I was struggling really hard with a lot of the mental health aspects of that kind of the grief and the PTSD and some of those things. And I hated the way that medication had made me feel. I just felt lost and I wasn't me. And so I was searching for kind of more natural alternatives. Like I tried therapy and just never jived with any therapists. And then I found essential oils and I found some that kind of changed my life. They brought me back to me, helped calm a lot of those swirling thoughts that you get in your head, helped calm a lot of those anxieties. And that kind of led me down a rabbit hole.
Well, first, I'm so sorry to hear that. And um, I think that it is one of those things that you were able to find support and in that type of world. So essential oils was able to change how you were showing up for you and your family, right?
Absolutely.
Mm.
And when I got started in nails, I wanted to bring that into the nail industry. I was looking around and seeing people are developing these crazy allergies to ingredients in nail products. And I mean, at the school that I was at, they had Bath and Body Works wallflowers in all plugs. And so I would go around the school unplugging them because they give me headaches, and seeing people who are kind of a little more on the crunchy side, who are looking for ways to pamper themselves and ways to get their nails done or to get facials or to have hair treatments done, but looking for ways to do that in a more sustainable, more eco-friendly, more body conscious and whole body wellness aware spaces.
Yeah, because it is something that you do start to see more and more people wanting. But it's funny how, I mean, my journey started also in my own personal life and bringing that in. So yours started in your own personal life and bringing that into your business.
Yeah.
Um, when you started to change over, like obviously the schools don't teach that. How did you learn how to start shifting some of those traditional ways of doing nails to more of a clean, sustainable practice?
So I started researching brands first off, looking at brands that had hypoallergenic ingredients, brands that were manufactured in the United States, because I mean that helps to reduce carbon emissions and it helps to support the economy here more than it does for overseas brands. And so I landed on a brand that is based here in the United States. They're manufactured in Oregon, and so it's really they have a really great culture about the chemistry in their products, and they produce a lot of education on that and the chemistry in all nail products. And so I started that way, and then just bringing in like the plant-based cleaners that I use in my home, looking for a disinfectant that was more natural based. So I use a disinfectant that's peroxide based, um, and just that kind of stuff, bringing in more of the natural products into my salon.
I love it. So it seems like for all aspects, but it really started with the product in the salon,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Um, what have you seen from your clients or your fellow technicians in the school? Like, what have you seen the reactions from everyone around you?
It's been really supportive. I started out this way. I never brought in anything that I didn't think was good for me, um, or good for the salon, and I've had a really positive reaction. I've had a lot of clients come to me specifically because I carry hypoallergenic products, or specifically because I'm artificial fragrance free. And so it's been a really generally positive reaction. And I'm seeing people come to me and say, "Hey, how can I make these kinds of swaps in my own nail business?" And so that's been really positive. One of the big swaps I made was I don't use disposable files. I use reusable, disinfectable metal files. And I've seen a lot of nail techs in my area be like, "Oh yeah, that's really cool. Plus it saves me money." So they've been kind of switching to that model as well.
That is a really important piece there because not only is it sustainable, and it can save you money because one of the objections that I've seen and heard throughout my years of doing this and from other stylists or other professionals that it's too expensive to make these swaps. It's too expensive and they don't have the, profit to make them. Now, you just save them money
Hmm.
by being sustainable, right? And it's more of a mindset thought process of like, how do we shift these over? And that doesn't mean that it always has to be more expensive.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I mean, these files that I use, they're from a US manufacturer. She's one of the best in the business, and they're diamond coated, and they have a really sustainable model as far as like when they ship, and they're working on a recycling program. And I mean, one file is like $30, but you buy a big pack of the throwaway files for $20, but there's like they're a buck a piece, whereas this one that's $30, it costs me 3 cents per service, generally speaking, because they last 300 services.
That's amazing. So, what do you think that, well, actually, let me back up. With the products that you chose, because I know that that's one that there's not a ton of options for nails. I know that there wasn't a ton for hair, but we're seeing more and more. Are you seeing more product lines coming out that are safer?
Yeah, so I started with this product line, and they were kind of one of the first innovators in like hypoallergenic and cruelty free and like vegan and that kind of stuff with nail products. But there are more and more lines coming out that are in that same vein. Um, I know I went to the Utah Nail Expo a few weeks back, and there were 3 or 4 vendors that were kind of along a similar vein where they're hypoallergenic, they're cleaner, greener, products. I mean, it's hard, especially in nails where you're working with, let's face it, they're plastics, right?
Yeah.
And so finding those products that are a little bit more sustainable in that way has been really great, and seeing more brands coming up that recognize, okay, this is a problem. Let's remove these ingredients that are problematic and find better ways to do it.
Yeah. With the product lines, like the ingredients, do you know the ingredients like that are the most important to look at when you're looking for nail products?
So I've been I look primarily at the acrylates that are in it because a lot of those are what are causing allergies. There's one in specific that has kind of been highlighted as the problematic ingredient, but it's not the only problematic ingredient. And you want to look at how the acrylates are bound. And so you're looking for ones that are bound that aren't going to be water soluble, especially if your products come out undercured. And these, the acrylates are in all of the nail products, but they're also oftentimes in a lot of the skin products that we're using on our clients. They can be in your sugar scrubs, which I think is insane that we're putting plasticizers in sugar scrubs. Why? What's the point? And they can be in
Yeah.
your
Shouldn't
masks
it
and
just
your
be sugar?
lotion. Yeah, it should be like sugar and oil and call it a day. That's what it does.
Yeah.
Um, and so I'm really conscious about looking for those, especially acrylates and polymers in like the skincare products, but also in my nail products,
Right.
and seeing kind of how they're bound. And so I love the education that this line that I've chosen to use provides, that I can kind of see, okay, when I'm looking at product information and at my SDS sheets, how are these molecules bound? How do these things go into the formula so that they're more sustainable and less harmful to myself and my clients?
That's amazing. Well, and I know everybody listening, especially if they're in the nail industry, they're probably wondering, okay, say the name already. we're not we're not affiliated with anyone. So just FYI, we're not affiliated. But if you found a product line, I think that that's really important too. We can highlight them.
So the product line that I primarily use is Light Elegance. They're based in Redmond, Oregon. And Jim McConnell, who's the head chemist of the brand, he's one of the founders of the brand. He is super, super educational. He really dives deep into the education, and he has a great YouTube channel that I love to watch his videos and see him explaining all the chemistry and stuff.
Awesome. I know I'm going to check them out because that's one of the things that I love getting my nails done.
Mhm.
And I don't have anybody personally here that does anything clean or sustainable around me. So I'm like, I need you. I need someone like you near me. And it's just not one of those things that's easy. So being able to find my own products then so that I can at least have a cleaner base at home, that's really important. So I will definitely look into them as well. Tell me a little bit about, like, with nails, you have so many different things that you can do, right? Acrylics, you've got the gel, you've got the curing, the lights, and all of those things. How are you able to do, or are you able to do all of the different nail designs and everything with this clean, like with a sustainable clean mind?
I try really hard to. The line that I so the when it comes to e-filing, um, if you don't mind, I'm going to share the brand of e-file bits and
Yeah.
stuff that I use. It's Erica's ATA. They're based out in Tennessee, and they provide a lot of great education as well. She's really trying to put sustainability into her business as well. Like I mentioned, she's working on a recycling program for the bits and stuff. She switched her packaging from plastic packaging to more eco-friendly, like recycled paper packaging, and I love that. And so her bits and stuff, they last longer than other companies. And so that helps to keep that sustainable, with the bits and the files. Um, I shoot for using less water in pedicures. I don't have a big tub and it's not plumbed and it's just a bowl. And so I don't put as much water in that as a lot of people do. My disinfectant is a peroxide based and it's a spray, so I don't have to keep like a jar of it full. And I go through a lot less water that way. Um, as far as like enhancements and that kind of thing go, um, I mean, I just, like I said, I use my I use the Light Elegance line where it's free from a lot of allergens, and I'm able to do a lot of the same designs, a lot of the same artwork because they have a really versatile line. They have like the buttercreams and the art gels, and they have the chromes, and they have just your gel polish as well. And so they have a really great versatile line for acrylics and for gels.
Fantastic. See, and that's where I have found cleaner brands, but it's just a regular polish, and there's no, like, absolutely no way can I just paint my nails with a regular polish and not have them look terrible in 2.5 seconds. I steer away from the gels because I don't like all of the chemicals, and I don't like curing with the light. Just me personally. I have vitiligo, so I have to be really careful with my skin and not, exposing it to anything that could be harmful. So do they still have to cure with lights?
Yes, so they use an LED light to cure the products. It's not UV, and the exposure in the LED lamps, there's a lot of misinformation floating around out there about
Okay.
LED lamps and gel polishes. The exposure that you get from that is less than, for example, walking to your car in a parking lot, or even from your front door to your car in your driveway. It's really not as high of exposure as they say it is, especially where we use the LED lamps now versus the UV that we used to use.
Okay. Good to know. All right. See, and I don't know anything about those, so that's why I'm asking the questions, and I'm really excited to hear that, because that's one of the things, like, this misinformation is really important to start getting the right information out there from the people, the educators like you.
Yeah. I mean, if you're really super concerned about it, you can get like fingerless gloves, or you
Yeah.
can even put like a mineral-based sunscreen on your hands up to the tips of your fingers before you go get your nails done. And so if that's
Yeah.
something that you're really, really concerned about, that's absolutely something you can do.
Okay. Yeah, because I do have to be really careful because I have 0 pigment, to protect me. So those are really great, pointers, because I feel like I can't do anything, and I know that a lot of people feel this way, that it's
Mhm.
not just because I have vitiligo, but more so that we feel like we can't go get our nails done because there are so many chemicals and everything in it, and the exposure is high unless you are taking care of it and creating a space like yours. So that's really exciting, and I'd love to hear, like, what challenges have you come across, that you overcame or that maybe you're still dealing with in changing over to sustainability?
Yeah, so I share a space with a cosmetologist who isn't quite as clean and holistically minded as me. She's getting there. We're working on it. But so that has been a little bit of a challenge. When I came into the space, she had already been there, and she had like a Scentsy warmer, and it was plugged in and going. And I was like, "Okay, can we not do this?" And I unplugged it, and she says, "Oh yeah, why?" And so I explained to her, artificial fragrances, they give me a headache among other issues with them. And so she doesn't run that. And she's making some moves towards more sustainable products. She actually recently bought her own clean disinfectant, and we're moving towards more plant-based cleaners. I've always used plant-based cleaners, but now she's starting to use some of the plant-based cleaners as well for her stuff. And just kind of seeing that I'm influencing her a little bit towards the more sustainable, more green and clean movement has been kind of fun to see. But I also see like a lot of pushback that like there's a lot of people out there that are just, well, it's just so much easier to just go with the stuff that's already done. It's so much easier to just plug in a wall plug-in instead of fill up a diffuser at the beginning of the day. Or, it's easier to just buy the throwaway files because then I don't have to disinfect them. But they don't see kind of that long-term vision. And like you said, it's a mindset thing, moving into being more sustainable and more clean in the salon.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely the pushback we hear as well. And everything in salons, in business, everything is going to be a give and take.
Mhm.
And it's either you're going to give a little more time by cleaning and disinfecting, or more waste into our
Mhm.
planet. And the compound effects on both have huge repercussions and positive things, right? So it's looking at that. And I think we're going to see a lot more of people starting to make these little shifts as it becomes more and more available.
Yeah.
What do you see for the future of our industry?
I feel like I see people moving more towards a more holistic mindset where they're thinking about, okay, how is this impacting me as the beauty technician? Because we're seeing more people coming up with allergies and with skin sensitivities, and that contact dermatitis is becoming so much more prevalent in the industry. I have so many friends who have allergy issues. I have allergy issues myself. And seeing people moving in that direction towards, okay, what can I do to help mitigate my allergy issues that's also going to support my clients in a better way. I see people moving towards more clean, especially cleaners, because that's a really easy swap to make, right? Like you've said in the past, it doesn't have to be an all or nothing thing. You can make little swaps here and there that can make a big difference, especially over time. And so I see people moving towards, oh, well, I can use a plant-based cleaner instead of Clorox wipes. And I can use a nicer disinfectant as opposed to barbicide or whatever other disinfectant they're using, something that's more sustainable. I can e-file off nail products versus soaking them in acetone. And so seeing kind of this shift towards things that are a little bit more sustainable, a little more friendly to our bodies and our skin and that kind of thing.
I love that. With anyone listening and they're, wanting to shift over, I mean, you just gave us a few things to look at, but what would you say the first thing they should do if they're looking to switch over to more sustainability?
Get rid of the wall plugins.
Okay.
Stop using wall plugins to freshen the air in your salon. I
Mm,
know that it's real easy to just plug it in and forget it, but there are diffusers out there now that are waterless diffusers that you can plug in and forget. You put a bottle of oil on them, plug them in, and they run for a month to 2 months where you don't have to swap them out, just like your wall plugins. And it's so much easier to use something like essential oils that smell fresh, that aren't going to give you headaches, that aren't going to cause hormone disruption and that kind of thing, versus those all too common wall plugins.
yes, I have not used one of them in probably, I don't know, 30 years or something crazy, but I agree with you because they give me instant, like I can't even walk by that what is it?
The Bed and Body Works.
Yeah, I always get those 2 mixed up.
Me
The
too.
Bath& and Body Works, yeah. I cannot even walk by it in the mall without literally having to hold my breath because I'm just so sensitive to that. So I agree with that statement. Get rid of the wall flowers, because they are just so detrimental and we don't realize. I know that there was studies out there and I'd have to find the actual study, but like what even Febreze does to our lungs with just breathing it in and day out. So it's wild because we don't think about these little things.
Yeah. I mean,
So
if you're in a beauty space, you have to have SDS sheets for all the products that you've got going on in your space, right? And so if you get on the Bath and Body Works website, they have SDS sheets for those wallflowers, and it even says on them that they have known carcinogens and known hormone disruptors in them. So,
yeah, yeah, and that's big. If it's but who looks at that, right? And
yeah.
that's the biggest problem is we're not looking at the back of the bottles, the cards, the SDS, the SDS sheets of what's actually in our products. Um, it's just we have to become more aware. We've got to be our biggest advocates. And I think that once we start to make those shifts, so someone listening who maybe they are experiencing some sort of allergies or not feeling well, getting headaches. Like mine, I could see a big difference of like these slight headaches I did not put two and two together with being in the salon all day with toxic products versus not.
Mhm.
Until I actually made that switch, I didn't see it because I was just so used to having these slight headaches at the end of the day thinking, "Oh, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I've worked really hard." No, it was because I was having a reaction to all of the chemicals that I was breathing in and in and out every single day. So, I think that when we start to actually take a look, and that would be my first suggestion, is if you're unsure or you don't know where to start, just start looking at what you already have. That's what I tell my students, like, just look at what you already have on the shelves. What's the most toxic? And switch that one thing over. Just that one. And then,
Yeah.
do an inventory as you go along, and it can be really easy if we choose it to be.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. You don't have
Yeah.
to say, I'm going to dump all this product I already have and purchase a whole new product line and bring in all new cleaners and all new air fresheners and all these things. Just start with one little switch. Find something that you think, like you said, is the most toxic and make that switch.
I love it. So tell me where we can find you and, where you do your education so that anyone listening can reach out and, you know, learn from you, learn how to start making that shift.
Yeah, so my salon is based in Idaho Falls, Idaho. And I actually work out of an assisted living place. It's really fun. They let me bring in my own clients, but I also get kind of that built-in clientele with those older ladies and even the gentlemen sometimes.
Yeah.
So I'm in Idaho Falls, Idaho. You can also find me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is underscore Ethne and Me and with another underscore after it. And you can get on my website. It's ethneandme.com. And I have some classes listed on my website, and we can do classes via Zoom. If you're willing to accommodate me for travel and that, I'm more than happy to travel and come and do classes for you wherever you are.
I love it. Well, we're gonna have everything in the show notes to make it really nice and easy for everyone to find. Melissa, and what would you like your final words for anyone listening? What would you want them to hear?
Um, I think just that it is possible to make your beauty business more sustainable so that it's friendlier for you and friendlier for your clients without it being crazy expensive. You can do it in a sustainable way that's budget friendly too.
Amazing. And that's what we have our bottom lines. We have to take a look at that. So I love that it's possible that you're doing it and that you are stepping up and you're educating others on that. So amazing to meet you. Thank you so much for being on the podcast and being a part of the Green Beauty community. We really value what you do, and we just appreciate you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning in to the Green Beauty Community Podcast. We're on a mission to make sustainable beauty the new standard, and we need your help to make it. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our podcast and share with your friends. Every listener helps spread our mission of sustainable beauty. Want to do more? Visit greenbeautycommunity.com to join our community, volunteer your skills, or to make a donation. Your support in any form helps us create a more beautiful and sustainable future for the beauty industry. And remember, together we can transform beauty for ourselves and for our planet. Until next time, stay green and stay gorgeous. This podcast was brought to you by a generous grant by InnerSense Organic Beauty.